Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our 2021 Summer Session 1 live Q&A session. We'll be joined today by members of our administrative offices who will be answering several questions that were submitted by members of the IAU community. In addition to answering questions from you, I'd like to remind our guests to feel free to ask questions in the chat. We'll get to each of them as soon as we can. Also, keep an eye on the chat for important links. We will be adding URLs that are mentioned by our staff when answering your questions. And the last thing before we get to the questions, if you get distracted and miss some details, if you forget something that was said in this session, don't worry. We'll be emailing everyone in attendance and everyone who RSVP'd a recording of the whole thing. So look out for that in the next day or two in your emails. All right, let's get started. First up, we'll have Eliselda Gonzalez from our Office of Student Support. Ellie, welcome to the workshop. Good to see you. All right, so it looks like we only have one question for the Office of Student Support. And it is, I recently read the travel ban might be eased soon. Is there any information you can share regarding this?
Yes, hello everyone. Sorry for the moving around camera. Have some technical difficulties. In terms of travel bans, it's kind of a fluid situation, to borrow the words directly from the government. With COVID cases around the world rising and falling, travel bans are constantly changing. So the best resource that I can guide anyone to, I have two links, which I will share in the chat momentarily. But basically, the main page to go to would be travel.state.gov. I will include that in the chat in a moment. Here you can find any and all exceptions in terms of traveling, depending on your destination and also depending on your visa category. Since U.S. citizen travelers have different advisories that they have to follow versus, unfortunately, non-citizens. So here you will find information pertaining to COVID-19, CDC regulations and such in terms of traveling, restrictions, etc. So you will find all the latest information here in terms of your category as an F1 student traveling. Now, if you want to know more about the travel bans and where exactly there are travel bans located, I'm including another link here. Oh, sorry, wrong link. Sorry, give me a moment. Okay, so there are different travel advisories depending on the country that you are either traveling to or traveling back from. So if you go to this webpage, it's actually going to give you a color-coded map depending on what the advisories are. For some reason, you have levels 1 through 4 or 5. So level 1 is fine, travel is safe. Level 2, exercise, increase caution. Level 3, reconsider travel. So it will give you all the latest information here. So we base our information on this. So if in any case any information changes from what we tell you, these pages on the website will definitely give you the most up-to-date information.
All right. Thank you for that detailed answer, Ellie. There was one follow-up question to that one, and that is, excuse me, are there any documents the school could provide which would permit safe return to U.S. soil in the event the travel ban is not removed by the end of the summer?
Yes. So unfortunately, we cannot guarantee that entry back into the United States is going to go smoothly. We always do try to advise our students that there is, we technically don't recommend travel right now unless it's strictly for emergency reasons, just because, again, the situation is fluid. Sometimes either the U.S. borders might close without any prior notice. Sometimes other countries' borders will close, etc. So right now, we definitely recommend exercising caution if you will be traveling, and to only do so if it's an emergency, or if you will do so just knowing that there's a risk. So we can, in fact, provide travel endorsed I-20 as long as you request it. And we can also provide other documents like official transcripts, enrollment verification, registration forms, etc. These documents will help you in the event that you are stopped at a port of entry for questioning. However, even if we provide these documents, again, there's no guarantee that you will be allowed in, since the officers at the port of entry work separately from IAU. Unfortunately, we do not have any say in what the officers at the port of entry what their actions will be. So we can help you with documents, but we just can't guarantee anything since it's beyond our control.
Okay, thank you again, Ellie. And again, Ellie added 3 links, it looks like, in the chat. So be sure to check those links out if you are curious about travel restrictions in regards to the pandemic and everything that's going on right now. Thank you, Ellie. If we have another question for you in the chat or anything, please stick around. But that will conclude the questions for the Office of Student Support. We'll see you in a little bit. And next up, we will have Hillary from the Office of Career Services. We have a few questions for her. Hello, Hillary.
Hi.
Okay, let's get to it. So the first question is about the required internship. It says, what is the time frame for me to start the required internship?
Okay, so in regards for the time frame of when to apply for your internship, you just have to make sure that you're applying for your internship during the course of your program here at IAU. We do ask that students just be very mindful of when they do apply for their internship because, for example, we just don't want students to apply later or closer to their graduation or their program end date, just because it is harder sometimes to find an internship. So just try to make sure you're doing that earlier on. And then also another thing is that for master's or doctorate students, they can start immediately with their internship. That is different for undergraduate students. So anybody who is an associate or a bachelor student, you either have to first complete 2 mandatory terms here at IAU before you can apply for an internship, or show us proof that you've had 1 academic year at a CVIP certified institution, and then you would be able to also start as early as the first day at IAU.
Okay, thank you for that. There is a follow-up to that one. It says, when I do apply for an internship, how should I answer the question, will you need now or in the future a visa sponsorship? And this student says that they do not need one in the future.
Okay, so that does sound more like a question if you are applying for a position or a job. For that one, it really is up to the student on what they are seeking from the internship or the position. So for example, if you are applying for this job, this position because you are looking for visa sponsorship, then I would say definitely check yes, because they may help you with that process. But for this specific student, it says that they aren't going to be needing one in the future, a visa or visa sponsorship. So for you specifically, it would be, I'm guessing, no.
Okay. Yes, if you don't need it, then just go ahead and say no. All right. The next question is from a different student that says, how many hours of CPT should I have? I am enrolling in CPT in the fall semester.
Okay, so if it's for the fall semester, fall and spring are both mandatory terms. And during mandatory terms, you can only participate in part-time CPT. And part-time is going to be 20 below 20 hours. If you are going to be doing it in the summer, that is different. So you can either be part-time or full-time during the summer. But for the fall, it would have to be below 20 hours a week.
All right. And there's one more follow-up question for that one. Oh, also, if you have more questions, feel free to ask them in the chat. I'm sure that there might be some follow-ups that you guys who are attending might have. Again, feel free to ask them in the chat, and we will get to them as soon as we can. All right, so the next question for Hillary in the Office of Career Services is, do I still have to pay tuition fees when I'm on OPT?
Yeah, so for OPT, that is optional practical training, and that's a type of temporary work authorization that occurs after a student has already completed their program. So since it's after the program, you will not have to pay for tuition because there's no course that's tied to it. However, there are going to be two fees. One of them is going to be the application fee for Department of Homeland Security, and then also the application fee through IAU. So those are the two only fees that you would have to pay. But then in terms of like tuition fees, there is no tuition fee for OPT.
Perfect. All right. And the last question on the form for Hillary in the Office of Career Services was about general CPT info. I'm going to put the link, Hillary, to our Career Services inquiry form in the chat. Can you just kind of let the students know what that form is for as far as CPT information goes?
Yeah, so then if any student has any other questions about CPT, OPT, or just internships in general, then you can go ahead and fill out the link that Jordan sent. It's our inquiry form. It'll take us maybe like anything from like 1 to 3 business days to respond back to you, but we should be able to respond back to you via email.
All right, and it looks like we do have an additional question in the chat over here for you, Hillary.
Okay.
This person says, hello, I am on H1, I'm guessing H1B maybe? I don't know many H1 visas, but hello, I am on H1 and I would like to change to F1. This will be my second master's. Can I work full-time on CPT?
Okay, so that is a good question. Again, during mandatory terms, which is fall or spring, your CPT will have to be part-time. And the only time that you can engage in full-time CPT, which is above 20 hours per week, is going to be during the summer term because that is a non-mandatory term.
All right. I hope that helps out. That concludes all the questions that we had submitted. It was kind of a light summer Q&A session. If anyone has any questions that they would like to ask, you can ask them in the chat, or feel free to go ahead and unmute yourself if you have any follow-up questions. We can stick around for a moment. And I would also like to add that I put our social media accounts in the chat. I'm going to repost those because they kind of got a little pushed to the top. I just put them in the chat right now. Feel free to follow us. Please follow us on social media. That's where you'll find out about our next events, our next, oh shoot, it looks like I got a little mixed up there. Our next Q&A session, and any other virtual events that we have, and information regarding updates about the pandemic and everything else will be on social media. All right, we have one more follow-up question. It says, if I get an F1 I-20 from IAU, can I go to the Bahamas or Canada for my change of status interview? This looks like a question for Ellie, perhaps, for student support. Would that be for you?
I've been thinking about that. I can do my best.
Would it be an admissions question, or is that?
Well, for the change of status interview, I think it just really depends on. Oh, this is a student going from H1B to F1. I'm honestly not sure if that would be allowed since you're asking for a change of status here in the United States. I would assume it would have to be done here. But don't quote me on that. But yeah, I'm not sure if it would count going to a different country's embassy or not. But I would assume it would have to be done here.
Okay. Thank you, Ellie. If you'd like to know more, I guess, can they email student support and we can try to, take care. I'll put that email address in the chat.
Yeah, I mean, we can do our best to find out more information, but I haven't personally heard of somebody going from H1B to an F1 status, and I always assume that change of statuses are just done in either your home country or the country that you're asking to do a change of status in.
Okay. Thank you, Ellie, and thank you for the questions as well. All right. if there are no further questions, we can wrap up this virtual Q&A session. Thank you to everyone who attended. It was a quick one, like I said, but we'll be having another one next session. So if you think of something that you forgot to ask here, don't worry, we'll be having another Q&A session next session, and every session until we finally transition all the way back to campus, which should be in the future at some point. Thanks everyone again, and have a great day. Don't forget to follow us on social media, and see you next time.